Oh, well, Nita, thank you so much for coming on the I'm Coming Up podcast. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Such an honor.
Yes, I really think it's cool to have a fitness trainer on this podcast because it's all about up and coming people of color who are creatives and entrepreneurs, and you're definitely an entrepreneur. I would put you in that category. Yeah.
It's weird to say, but yeah, I am. I
Yeah.
never I never would have thunk it.
I love it. And being a black woman as a personal trainer, I feel like a lot of times with fitness, we hear a lot from men who are personal trainers. And
For sure.
I don't recall seeing like enough black women personal trainers talking about like fitness, or maybe it's just the world that I live in. I don't know. So that's why I wanted you to come on this podcast and just, drop some gems for us, educate
Yes,
people, and especially the black community. We got the black community, we got a history of some bad eating habits sometimes. And, we
for
don't
sure.
really, talk about growing up. Fitness isn't a discussion that we were always talking about for a lot of black people. So I think this
Mhm.
conversation will be beneficial. So I first want to start off with some true or false questions,
Uh-oh. Okay, let's do
some
it.
myths that you might want to debunk for us. So we'll do like a rapid fire. You just say true or false, and then we'll
Okay.
go back to some of them, and you can
Okay.
explain why. Okay. So true or false? It is bad to eat after 9 p.m.
True.
True or false? We can control where we lose weight on our body.
False. Big
Okay.
false.
Okay. We should work out 5 days a week in order to lose weight.
False.
Okay. We should weigh ourselves in order to reach our fitness goals.
Absolutely false.
Okay. We'll talk about that one. Uh, Fitness can create a positive impact on your mental health.
So true.
Okay. Oh, this is mine. Squats is the only way to get the booty of of my dreams.
Absolutely false. Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
okay. Okay. You should always stretch before a workout.
True. And after.
Okay. More sweat equals a better workout.
False.
Okay. Lifting weights makes you bulky.
False.
And last one, working out while sore from a previous exercise will help you become less sore.
True.
Okay. I put that down because I recently like learned that, and I was like, I was so sore from my workout, and then the group trainer was like, "Oh no, like you got to keep coming to class because that will
Mhm.
help you versus just laying down for 3 days trying to be
Yeah.
less sore."
Because think about it, if you do a workout, especially like your first few workouts back, your body's going to react to it and you're going to be super sore. So if you stop after every time you feel sore, you're restarting every single time, restarting. But if you
Mm.
keep and you push through that first week, sometimes even 2 weeks of like that crazy intense sore feeling, your body gets used to it. And now you're starting from a higher level. So now what used to make you
Okay.
sore doesn't make you sore anymore. But when you stop, it's like your body has to restart every single time.
That's interesting. Restarting. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like when you do a more intense workout after the first 3 days of being sore, then like your body reaches another level of capacity it can handle.
For
Is that what you're
sure. And it's
saying?
also
Okay.
too like when you're sore, it's just your body saying, "Okay, I see what we're doing. All right, I gotta get used to this." So every time you stop, like your body's like, "All right, we're done. We're not gonna do that anymore." But when you let
Okay.
your body get used to doing it over and over again, then it becomes familiar with the feeling, and then it's going to take more. Not to say that you won't get sore ever again, but it'll
Hmm.
take more to get you to that point.
Okay, got you. Good to know. Good to
Mhm.
know. Okay, what about so this one. We can control where we lose weight on our
Oh
body.
my
I
gosh.
swear to God, I swear for the longest I've been like, I'm just going to do my abs. I'm just going to do my
Yep.
abs. I don't want to lose my thighs or my booty, just the abs. That's it.
I
And
hear it.
no.
I hear it all the time. I just want to lose weight in my face or just my stomach, just
Yep.
my arm, just certain places. And the type of person, the type of trainer that I am, I'm a very like realistic. I'm a person at the end of the day. I'm not going to sell you a dream that you can't promise to. And the reality of it is, you cannot target where you want to lose weight. You can target where you build muscle. You cannot. You can target where you tone up, but you cannot say, okay, I just want to drop weight in my face or just my stomach. It is impossible. Not to say that it doesn't happen, but everyone's genetic makeup is so different. So I can
Yeah.
give 3 people the same workout, the same diet, the same routine, the same everything, and they're going to see the effect differently because everyone's bodies are different. So it really takes learning your body and learning what works for you, and then kind of tailoring it from there. But I wish there was a specific formula to where you could just pinpoint, okay, just here, here, and here,
Right.
please, and not here.
Right, right. For me, my weight, like as soon as I gain weight, I see it in my face. And as soon as I lose weight, I see it in my face. Like my face is like the
Mhm.
main place that can tell you what I've been eating. And which I hate, my face and my stomach. But my thighs, like if I could just keep the thighs and the booty, I'm
And
good.
see,
But you
I feel
can't
like
control them.
whenever I gain and lose is always the booty first. I'm like, no, don't go. Like just
Right,
keep
right,
holding on. So it's always
right.
for me, it's always my booty.
Okay, so then let's just stay on the booty topic. So for the one that says squats is the only way to get the booty of my dreams. And you said that
Absolutely
was
false.
false. Okay.
For sure, because there are so many great booty exercises. And it's like if you are just limiting yourself to squats, one is going to get very repetitive and just boring after a while because there are different squat variations, but you kind of can't do a full workout of just squats every single day. Your body's going to get used to it. And then once your body gets used to doing the same move, it's not working anymore. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to always challenge yourself. So squats is a really, really good starter, right? So we start with squats because it's I don't want to say a basic move, but it's something that you can it's easier to start with. And then as we get the glutes and the hamstrings and the quads stronger and stronger, then we go from there. But it's also, you don't want to just target just your glutes. You want to work around there too. So you want to get the quads, you want to get the hamstrings because it's all in one. You don't want to just have just just the butt and nothing else under it, right? So we want
Right.
to target that whole area. So there's so many moves you can do that can help to enhance the gluteus maximus, as we call
Come
it.
on, gluteus maximus. Well, I don't know why. So maybe it's a social media thing. Like they always say, like, oh, she been doing
Sure.
her squats. So I think that's why people think that like that's like the main thing I have to do and probably the only thing to get
For
this to
sure.
grow. Okay, cool.
And squats are really, really good. So I don't want to take away from that, but there's just so much more you can add to it. So I think squats
Mhm.
is like, it's a part of the meal, but it's not the whole meal.
Okay. The last one I want to ask you about, well, there's so many more, but I want to keep it short. The last one I'll ask you about is lifting weights makes you bulky. And you said that
Oh.
was false?
Mhm.
Okay.
There's a myth to that because there are so many different forms and fashions to lifting, right? You can lift weights to tone up, you can lift weights to bulk up, you can lift weights to put on weight to lose weight, and it really just depends on what you're doing it for. So, for example, you can lift heavy, like really heavy weights, and it's not going to make you bulk up and look crazy. A lot of times, like for example, we're talking about building a booty. The heavier you lift, it's going to get bigger, right? And it's going to build that
Mhm.
muscle bigger, so it's going to help with that. And I think a lot of people, especially women, are scared to lift heavy because they don't look like a man or they don't have a certain shape, and it's just like I want to try to work as best as I can to get that thought out of our minds because it's such a negative thought of if I lift heavy, I'm going to look bulky.
Yeah.
I'm at a point now where I'm the slimmest that I've been in a long time, and I'm lifting my heaviest. So it really just depends on how your programming
Mm.
is, because there are ways to accomplish that, without bulking up. And then there's also some people whose goals are to bulk up, and that's completely fine. But the myth that it's just a straight case, if you lift heavy, you're going to bulk up, is complete nonsense.
Yeah. And I think that myth is mainly from like women who are scared to lift, like
I think
who,
it's
yeah.
from that, and I also think it's from men being insecure. They see women lifting heavier and heavier, and it's
Oh,
like if you lift heavier, you're
I
going to
like
bulk
that.
up, and people aren't going to be attracted to you. And it's like, no, not at
Mm.
all.
I like that. That's true. That's true. Okay, so thank you for answering those questions. Thought that was
Yes.
fun. So I just want to start off by like getting to know you. I don't really know much about you, which makes me happy because then I'll just be learning a lot. Because a lot of my guests, I know them for the most part, but I want other
Mhm.
people to know them. But for you, I really don't know much. So I just want to start off with like, where are you from? Are you I don't even know if you're LA transplant. Like, how did you get into training? Like, short story.
The
Who
whole
you are.
spiel.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll give the rapid version.
yeah.
So I am a transplant. I've been in LA I just hit 4 years this past August, and it feels
Nice.
like just yesterday. Still, I can't believe it's been 4 years already. I'm from a really small town in New Jersey called Pleasantville. You've never heard of it unless you're like driving through to get to Atlantic City. So it's super small, um, but training has always been a part of my life in some capacity. So I was a forever athlete. The area that I'm from is a really big like sports based area. It's kind of like what you do to stay out of trouble. So either you're in trouble or you play sports. It's like there's like the route that you take. And so I've always been an athlete my entire life. My mom kept us active doing different things. And so growing up, sports has always been on my path. And then I got to college. I ran track in college at a Division I school, and that was like my okay. I love at this point moving my body. I love being active. So at that point, I had been doing sports and being active and moving my body for all these years. And then track stopped, and it was like, now what? And I know a
Mm.
lot of athletes face the same problem of when they're done college athletics and they don't take the route to pursue a professional career. You kind of go through that like that lag of a period of twiddling your fingers, like, what do I do now? And even for the typical athlete that knows how to move their body, that knows what to do, sometimes it's still hard having to do it yourself because you're so used to that coach athlete mentality of someone telling you what to do. And so I got into different types of training at first just to fill that void of that coaching atmosphere that I was missing. So I did CrossFit for a while and then group training because it was a lot of that coach atmosphere. And honestly, after that, my body just like I went through a period where I stopped working out, was eating everything I wanted, and it was starting to catch up to me. I saw my body taking a shape and a form of one of physical that I wasn't loving, but also a mental that I wasn't loving. To me, it was more the mental part. When I wasn't working out, I felt my lowest. I felt my most insecure. I felt my just, I felt my weakest mentally. And I didn't like that feeling of not being on top of the world. Because when you're an athlete, you have that mentality of, I'm the best, no one can stop me. And I kind
Mm.
of wanted to, I was fiending to get that feeling back. And so I just started to just like one by one, literally day by day, like I have to do something to control this. And during my lunch breaks, I would start working out. We had a gym at the office I was working in. I started working out during my lunch breaks. And then when I was in there, some of my colleagues would see me working out and they'd be like, "Oh, can I join you?" I'm like, "Yeah, just jump in." Like I'm just, having fun playing with some things. And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing because I'd never trained, I never coached, but I just knew what I did as an athlete, and I was just trying and testing. So it's a lot of trial and error. And before I knew it, people were asking me like, "Hey, like, can I come work out with you? Can you train with me? Can we do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is great. I'm really kind of enjoying this part." And it got to a point where my lunch hour was becoming more like that was becoming like the focus of my day. Like I looked forward to that hour of training my colleagues and training my friends at lunch break than I did what I was doing. And so that was kind of like my aha moment of, okay, I really enjoy this. How can I like dive deeper into like what this field is? And then from there it was just like I put on my cap and goggles and just like dove in headfirst and was like, I need to be doing this full time. And once I decided that I wanted to do a career change, then at the same time I was like, if I'm going to do a career change, I'm going to do a whole life change. And I packed up, I moved across the country. I was like, I'm going to do a coach change, a career change, just a change all in one. And so ever since I got to LA, I've been fully focused on, just training and just building my knowledge in this field because it is so much to learn. I feel like I can never know too much. Like I don't think there's such thing as knowing too much in your field, especially as this field is always just constantly changing. So yeah, it's kind of like the short version of it.
Yeah.
Skipped a lot of steps, but that's kind of like the spiel of it. I really wanted to focus on that, and once I got out here, I can fully focus on it. So
That's dope. I mean, I'm surprised that you moved out here 4 years ago. I just assumed because I feel like
uh,
you're hella successful that like you've been out here like for like 10 years or
oh,
something. So
oh, thank
that's
you.
amazing. So when you moved out here, then is that when you started your group workout classes at Runyon?
It is. So I
Okay.
actually that same like within maybe like the first 2 or 3 months after I got out here. So my best friend came out here a few months before I did. She had the LA dream. Like she always knew she was coming to LA. This was like always in her plan. For me, it was the opposite. I came here to visit in February of 2018 and was like, I'm on the beach in February. This is nice. I see the
Right?
hype. I said, you know what? I'm gonna come too. And so that was February, and I moved in August. So it was very like once I knew I was ready to leave, it didn't take much to get me to come out here.
That's dope.
And so once I got out here, me and my best friend would go to Runyon, just us. We would, do little workouts, and I would think of little things. And then it was actually like her idea. She was like, you should start inviting people to like, so you get a chance to meet people, and then you can kind of like build up your brand. And then it just went from some weeks just me and her, and then it grew to 2 people to 5 people to 10 consistent. And then right before the pandemic, we were at like 35 to 40. We almost hit 50 people one time. And so it was crazy to see what I did in 2 years of just growing it up. But I think the beauty of it was just having fun. And I think when you make fitness appealing, it's a lot easier to try, right? Because fitness can be looked at as a very like, oh, that looks like it's crazy. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so my biggest goal with that, and I think just in general with how I just, brand myself is I want it to be appealing. I want people to say, okay, I want to try. Like that looks like something I want to try. Because that's the toughest battle is wanting to do something, right? And then once
Yeah.
you want to do it, then it's actually doing it. So it's people can pass that first step and want to do something. And then once they get past that first step, it's like, okay, now how do I actually do it? So once you
Yeah.
decide you want to do it, I want to make it as appealing as possible so that we can get you actually into trying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I was trying to remember. I was like, how am I going to tell her that like how I heard about her? And to be honest, I don't remember. Which I feel like is a cool answer because it's just like people just talk, like, oh yeah, this is what I do on the weekend. Because I always, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, I actually think I ran into y'all because I go to running a lot. Like I just work out, and
Mhm.
especially before the pandemic, even honestly more during the pandemic. But I swear it had to have been me one day, just walking past that cement workout area, and
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure it was I just saw a bunch of black people working out together,
Hmm.
and I think I just asked somebody. I said, "What is this?" And and they pointed me to somebody. It had to have been like one of your friends who helped you like lead this. And they were telling me like, oh, we're here well, I think it was Sunday or
Yep.
Saturday, something at 8 a.m. or 8:30. And I was like, oh, that's
Yes.
about the times that I come. So why not? And then I think that's pretty sure what it was.
Uh-huh.
And then I just like started coming and the vibe, the classes were dope and it was convenient because I live in North Hollywood. So it was just right there. And no, just like the music, always the playlist was fire. And it's just nice
Okay.
to have, working out with your people, the
Hmm.
black community. And you still do these, right?
I
Um,
do.
yeah.
So the beauty of running was a a great time of my LA experience. I used to always say Sundays were my favorite day. And it felt like something that just brought me the most joy ever. I loved it. I loved the people. And it literally was just like a family reunion every week. And especially for, transplants, we don't have family. And a lot of time meeting friends is just by out being social and doing things that you enjoy doing. So it was
Hmm.
a really great chance for us to meet a lot of people, meet a lot of friends, make a lot of connections because you never know where that connection can lead to you. So when the pandemic, of course, happened, I had to stop the workouts, and it was tough. It was like we went through a period of we didn't know what was happening or if I was going to bring it back. If I was going to be able to bring it back, and then so once I started bringing them back, we now do it at a park in closer to Inglewood, so it's Norman Old
Hmm.
Houston Park, and we do it on Saturdays. Actually, I'm bringing it back in November, and for me, we loved running, and I thought running was just an amazing experience. I loved the visibility of it. However, I think my bigger goal is I want to be more accessible to my community. And when I think of my community, I'm local here in Inglewood, and a lot of people that I would meet and talk to about it, it's hard for them to get to Runyon. So I wanted to bring something closer to this side of the community. Not to say I would love to eventually pick back up and do that second day, do Sundays again at Runyon. Not right now, but hopefully in the near future, so I can be able to offer those 2 days. But I want it to
Right.
be more accessible to the community.
No, I,
Yeah.
I immediately when I found out that it was in Inglewood, because I remember I DM'd you, I was like, when's it coming back? Assuming that it was going to be a Runyon. And then you said, I saw Inglewood. Immediately, my first thought was, oh, this is going to get more of our community, like,
Yeah.
to participate in this. And I think it's dope because more people, like a lot of famous people are starting to bring more things to Inglewood. Like you got
I
Issa,
love
she's
that.
always bringing things to Inglewood, and Kevin Hart just opened a plant-based restaurant. I don't know if you tried it. It's
Yes.
good. In
I
Inglewood.
haven't. I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being a part of those classes it was really nice to just be around your people. Something about being around a bunch of black people is just like it's a vibe. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend that people go to these workouts starting in November, and they can find out through your Instagram.
Through my Instagram. Yep.
Yep.
It's at __ NITFIT Neat Fit.
Love it. Love it.
Yay.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about fitness. Maybe you can continue to drop some gems on us. I wanted to ask you about the balance of eating healthy and working out. And I always hear this that people always say it's 80% what you eat and 20% working out. Do we feel like that's the same thing? Because people have been saying that for years.
So once again, back to what I said earlier, I think it's more so it depends on people's bodies, right? Everyone's body is different. So I always say to my clients, and my clients know all the time, I will always say, do as I say, not as I do. I'm at a point in my body that I understand how it works. I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. However, everyone's bodies are different. So to some people and to the average person, it may just be that 80/20. To some, it may be 60/40, but nutrition, regardless of where it lies on scale of percentage, it weighs a huge part in it. And a
Mhm.
big question or a big, comment we always get, I want to get abs or I want to work on, flattening out my stomach. And it's like, okay, we can do a lot of core work. You can do a lot of stuff to, to strengthen the core. But what will happen? People think they can do 1,000 crunches. Like, okay, I want to get abs, and you'll have a strong core but under a layer of fat. So it's all about,
Mhm.
your diet is really the main part of it. So it's, if you think about it, you have to. It's almost like a formula, right? One doesn't work without the other. So
Yeah.
as hard as it is to hear, the diet is a big part of it. However, it's not about, just eating grass for the rest of your life. You can still
Right.
enjoy what you enjoy. And I always say, like, when you go on a strict diet, it's almost like setting yourself up for failure. When you're doing something that when you cut something out or do something that's too drastic too soon and like not in steps, it's your body's going to react to it negatively. Then you're going to crave for it, and then until you break and you have it, and then you break and you have it, and then you overdo it because then you missed it. So
Mhm.
it's all about just finding that balance and like the control with it. So for example, I instead of like saying the word diet, I have like diet sounds so like ugh, I have to do this thing instead of I
Mhm.
get to do this thing. I should be eating clean. I should be eating better. So it's more just about finding that balance and finding what works for you, and then also just experimenting. Like try like 1 week cutting out sugars, 1 week cutting out some carbs, 1 week cutting out some different things, and seeing how your body reacts to it, and then taking it from there. Because then you're going to be able to last longer through it. Because if you think about it, when you do these crazy 21-day diets or 2 week diets or all this stuff, when those 21 days are over, when those 2 weeks are up, now what? Are you going to keep
Mhm.
with that same routine or are you going to go back to what you're doing before? And so
Yeah.
I'm even with my training, I'm more about, not getting, not getting ready for something, just staying ready. If we stay ready, we don't have to get ready. So it's lifestyle training, right? We're training for the long term for the longevity of our lives. So dieting is the same way, eating is the same way, nutrition is on the same. How can we make this something that I can stick to, make it part of my routine and not something that I'm doing for 30 days for a challenge and then when it's up, I'm done.
Absolutely agree. I've never been a fan of diets. I never understood them because I know myself and I know that like as soon as that stuff's over, I'm heading to McDonald's. I know McDonald's, but I'm from a small town.
McDonald's,
I know.
girl.
I know. I'm from a small
Oh
town and
no.
McDonald's and Taco Hell, it was like just always right there.
Oh
I know
no.
it's bad. It's bad. So that's why I was like, you know what? I have to be consistent and create a habit. I recently
Yes.
realized that creating the habit is what keeps me consistent. I would usually just
Mhm.
eat healthy just to like get the stomach I wanted and be like, okay, I'm good. And then I would get back into eating,
And that's the
whatever.
mindset we have because then it's like, okay, I got it. But now it's like we have to realize once we get it, we got to keep it.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
it's finding that once again that balance because you don't want to do something so drastic to get it and then so drastic to keep it because it's not sustainable, right? But it's
Mhm.
also it's still finding ways you kind of like trick the system in a sense. People always like laugh at me because I am a huge foodie. Like I love food. I wake up, I think about food. I go to sleep, I think about food, and I want to be food at this point. But I'm at the point where I find what works for me. So I've been trying to, especially like recently, I've been trying to eat cleaner just all around, right? So what I'll do is kind of like on the week, I'm more focused. So during the weeks, I'm monitoring what I'm eating. I'm eating my salads. I'm doing all these things. I'm making sure that I get my greens and all my stuff in. And on the weekends, I'm like, I can play a little bit. I'll let myself play. But it went from me playing, every day and just because to understanding that structure. And like I said, I've always understood my body and what works for me. So even in the past, when I was allowing myself to eat like how I do on my weekend foods, when I was allowing myself to eat like that during the week, my body may have not looked different, but I felt different. And I felt,
Mhm.
my days just felt like they were dragging out. I didn't have the energy to do certain workouts. I felt heavier. And once again, it may not be a look, it may also just be a feel, which is why I'm really big on I don't like the scale because the scale is going to always be, in my opinion, like your arch nemesis, right? Because when you are on a fitness journey, a lot of people fail to realize muscle weighs more than fat. So when you're losing weight, putting on muscle, the scale can very easily go up. And once you see the numbers go up, it's going to automatically say, "Oh my gosh, this is not working. This is terrible." So I go off of pictures, clothes size, feeling. Because if you put on a pair of jeans that you couldn't fit last week and now you can, that to me means more than what the scale says, because the scale might go up as your size goes down. And then also, two, pictures are a really good, a really good way to tell, because as you're working out, your weight can also shift in different areas. So you're able to
Mhm.
actually see the change in real time. But it really just depends on, of course, some people have a strict goal in mind. So for my clients that are like, no, like I strictly want to lose X amount of pounds. Okay, we'll work with it, but just be mindful that that number will go up and down. It's natural. It's just hard to kind of grasp onto that at first.
And that's what I forgot to ask you from the one of the true and false questions is the scale thing. Cause I remember I think, yeah, when I started going to your workouts years ago before the pandemic, I asked you and I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be weighing myself, but I wanted to get your opinion. And I remember you told me you were like, don't weigh yourself. It's gonna mess with your mind. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, cool, because it was I already just didn't like it because I always was telling my friends I was like I really feel like I should just be looking at myself. I just want to look, and when I like what
Mm-hmm.
I look like, I'm good because I just personally didn't have a number in my head.
Yeah.
So I do like that you say that, and it is true. Muscle does weigh more than fat because my thunder thighs, I tell you, like I got thighs, man, and I'm just like, there's no way. Like this number's crazy.
It's
What?
crazy. And that's
So
the thing.
yeah.
It's like you don't want that to mess you up. Actually, I had a friend of mine who was so fixated on a number, and he wanted to get to this weight so bad. And in his process of getting there, he was putting on a lot of muscle, and his body was transforming and looking so well, but he was so stuck on this number. And it got to a point where he kind of like plateaued, and he couldn't get to that number unless he did some more like drastic things, which I didn't advise of. And it's like the transformation that you've already made from where you started to where you are now is like absolutely insane. But when you pick a number in your head, you get so fixated on it, you don't even appreciate the work you've already done. And so like
Exactly.
I don't want people to get stuck on like I want to see this number on the scale if they don't appreciate where they are now, because I mean like enjoy the journey. It's a journey to get there. It's not going to happen overnight. May
Yeah.
not happen over a few months, may not happen over a year, but as you get there, like enjoy the journey, because the journey means just as much as the destination does.
Exactly, exactly. I wonder why enough people don't talk about not weighing themselves. I don't know. I just feel like when losing weight, people always like, I went from this number to this number, this number. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
will say I think a big thing in the fitness field, and it's always changing, and things are always evolving. And I will say, I know a lot of trainers used to promote that, like I can get you to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or 20 pounds in 30 days, and it's appealing, right? It sounds better to say like, hey, I can get you to this number. So I think at first it sounds good, and I have seen a switch. I see a lot more transformation pictures now, which I think is a better, it's better than a number, because you can actually see what that means. Because you can
mhm.
lose 10 pounds and really not see it, or you can
Y-
lose 10 pounds and really see it. Like there's no tell all. So when you see the picture, of course, the picture does more than what numbers do. That's why I'm saying when you're going through that process, instead of using the scale to look at pictures, because we see ourselves every day in the mirror, so we don't notice it. When you look
mhm.
back at pictures, you're like, oh damn, I did that. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, I see what's happening. But when you
Right.
see yourself in the mirror every day, we can't tell what's happening in real time.
Right. Exactly. And then that one random friend comes up to us we haven't seen in weeks, be like, "You lose weight?"
Right? And you're like,
I
yeah,
guess
I did. I guess I
I did.
did.
Yep.
And to me, doesn't that like that feels so much better
It
than every
does.
day you're stepping on, you're checking. Every day you're checking.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But only be around a friend that you know gonna hype you. It's like
Right.
just play.
Be like, girl, we going through something right
Right.
now?
So tell us more about your training. So personal trainer, like I don't know much about personal trainers. One day I want to have one. One day I want you to be mine, but
I got you, girl.
one day we'll get there. But like, so do you gear your workouts based on what each client needs, or like what do I guess like how does it work being a personal trainer?
Hmm.
Someone comes up to you and they're like, okay, I really want to lose 50 pounds.
Hmm.
Is it just like that? That's all they say, and then you like have to ask them like more questions, or like how does that work?
So for sure, there's like a whole entire like I want to say like platform of things that like we have to discuss, right? So it's not only what you want, because one thing that you have to realize is everyone's goals are different, and once trainers understand that, the better of a trainer they can be. I think a lot of people have in their mind that people want to work out to look a certain way, and I've like worked so hard to get that out of people's minds, because working out and becoming one in your fitness journey is not always about a look, right? Some people want
Mm-hmm.
to feel stronger. Some people want it to be, to affect their mental. Some people want it to be that they can carry all their groceries in one trip from the car to the house. And so I think once you understand that everyone's journey is going to be different, then you can tailor it to fit their needs. And so for me, I do different bases of training. So I have private training, which is completely one on one, semi private training, which is anywhere from 2 to 5 people. And then I do group classes as well. So I do the big group class on Saturday. That's like the community class where everyone's welcome. And then I just started 2 months ago. I do a women's group class, which only is ladies only. I take 10 girls, and we basically it's like team training. So we're all together. They come 3 days a week, and it's almost like our hype system. And I specifically tailored it to ladies only because I wanted it to feel like a comfortable space. When women are working out 10 times out of 10, you go into a gym and it's like you have to worry about getting harassed or getting looked at or something or people bothering you. I just wanted it to be a safe space because going into a gym and working out is it's a mental stress enough as it is. So I wanted to, how can I take what I know and provide it to a group of ladies and let it be a safe space where we don't have to worry about any outside factors besides the actual workout. So there's different, there's different things that I offer. But then we kind of see, what their goal is in terms of, whether it's to lose weight, to gain weight, to put on muscle, to drop muscle. And then
Mhm.
from there, we literally just take it 1 week at a time. So I don't like to train out and build out, crazy long 6 month processes or 3 month processes because my goal is I want to see you and I want to see you changing week to week, week to week. So within my clients, what
Mm.
I'll do, even if I have a semi private group where there's 3 to 5 people, if they have different goals in mind, one wants to lose, one wants to gain, we'll do similar moves. We'll kind of like tweak a little bit. So the one that wants to gain maybe doing this version of it, and the one that wants to lose maybe doing this version of it. But working out is very just about finding what works for your specific body. So once you understand
Mhm.
your client's bodies, then you're able to kind of move from there. So for anyone when they come in, whatever their goal is, I think the first week, the first 2 weeks are always just understanding and getting to know their body, right? Getting to know where their
Mhm.
strength levels are because everyone's going to come in at different levels. Whether you work out every day and you're just trying to get, on a routine, or you haven't worked out since middle school PE. So it's like you never know where somebody's body is. And so that first week to two is just understanding where they are and then seeing what they can handle. And then from there, now we program some stuff in. And I saw a friend of mine, she's also a dope female trainer out here in LA. She posted something the other day and it was like, stop following these Instagram workouts. Like you have to start following programs because when you do just random workouts sporadically that you find on Instagram, yes, you're still moving around. Yes, it's like, it's better than nothing. You want to still move, but you need specific programming to make sure that your body is improving, that you're not plateauing and not staying at the same level. And so it's really important to have someone that, not only knows what they're doing, but is invested in making sure that your level increases every time. So I always tell my clients when you walk
Okay.
out of my sessions, like, I want you to feel like you just worked out. If you ever feel like, oh, that was easy, it's like, then I didn't do my job.
Right. Like so basically you're encouraging people to like okay, lift more. You can do more this time. I remember 3 weeks ago you started, you was on the 15 pounds. I think you can do 20
Exactly.
now. So yeah, keeping
Exactly.
track of your clients in that way, even if it is in a group setting. Is that what you're
For
saying?
sure. And they will tell you to the T. I'm always eyeing the other way. Like, I know we can do this one. I know,
Right.
let's just try it. If we can't, then we tried it, but we're going to try to do this one.
Right, right, exactly. I love that. I personally love group workouts. I do Krav Maga. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't.
It's like self-defense kickboxing classes, and they
Oh,
also offer strength and conditioning classes.
oh, I
It's
love that.
yeah, yeah, it's up in Sherman Oaks. But what I love is that so the point of what you said about women being at the gym is like I never liked going to the gym because of that reason. There were so many men that it just felt like men just was just like showing their dicks to each other. And it just felt like, I'm just sorry. But
No, no, literally, literally.
especially in the weight room, because I'm a woman that loves lifting weights. But I never went to that space because I didn't want the attention. I just felt like if the attention would be on me, I was like, I'm just gonna stay away. But like going to a smaller group class, even though mine is co-ed, we're all literally there for the same reason.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I didn't know that you had all women small groups. I think that makes women feel a lot more comfortable, you know?
Oh, for sure. I even said a few weeks, maybe like 2 weeks ago, right when I got back from my trip, I went to work out with one of my friends. And I went to his gym, and even with me knowing what I know, being a trainer and just having my library of knowledge, I walked in and I still was like, I don't like this. Like that was my first time in like an open
Yeah.
gym format in years, and I was like, I always understood like what my mission was and to make a gym space more comfortable for women, but seeing it kind of like in real time and like more recently, I was like, I do not enjoy this. And it made me even more like dive and believe deeper into my passion of wanting to make this space comfortable for women, because it's like you walk in and it's like all eyes are just like, and then you can't go to
Yeah.
any machine, you can't do anything. And it's like without the problem of being hassled of like, oh, you're doing that wrong. Or let me try to do it this way. Or you want to do it that way.
Mm,
And it's just, it's almost unheard of like walking in and just like people just not bothering you, right? You
that
have to
part,
almost
yeah.
be like, for lack of a better word, you gotta be like a bitch and like just have a straight face and like look like you don't want anyone to talk to you for
Right.
people to leave you alone.
Right,
So it just
exactly.
it feels so comfortable being able to have a space where it's like you don't have to worry, like you get to X out that factor of it and just
Yep.
focus on what you're there for.
And you make friends. You make friends by
Yeah.
doing that too. So, but also I think for people that do just want one person, they just want to be the only person in the room. So you say you do private sessions as well.
Hmm.
I feel like that's also beneficial. But can you speak to like why being like doing one private session is a good thing?
For sure. So the difference is, of course, if I'm with someone one on one, then opposed to a group of five, a group of 10, you're getting my undivided attention. Like it is just us. So I'm watching everything that you're doing, and I try to. I've gotten especially better over the years. Whether it's my one on ones, my small, my semi private, or my group classes, I make it a point to make sure that I am, eyes in the back of my head. I was a teacher before I took on this full time, so
Mm.
I'm very used to having my eyes everywhere. So I really make it a point to making sure that I address everyone and make sure that everyone's doing everything right. Because not only do I want to teach you and of course help you get to your goal, but I'm really really big on just making sure that you are learning at the same time. So I make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're getting your form right, because my goal honestly is not to train someone forever. I don't want to. I'm not one of those trainers that I want to have you for 5 years, 10 years. I want to be able to train you enough to where you're at a point where you don't need me anymore. We maybe check in once a month, or like I can send you stuff, but my goal is to get you to where you feel comfortable. And it's like, all right, Nita, like I can do this. So it's like I don't want to keep you
Hmm.
forever, because I'm a teacher at heart. So I want to teach you so you can understand and learn what it is you're doing, how it affects you, and then kind of take it from there. So the difference, of course, is I can be more eyes on, more hands on with that one person. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people too, a lot of people want to start off with one-on-one training compared to group training, because group training, as encouraging as it is, it can also be intimidating if you're not ready for it.
Right.
And I think group training is beautiful because, especially with my group of ladies, they're just so wonderful. And I have people at all different levels, but everyone embraces everyone like it's just a big family. So there's no ego, there's no mindset of, I'm better or you're less, or anything like that. It's literally all just one big team. But unfortunately, it's not like that in every group class. So sometimes group classes can be a little intimidating. So I get a lot of people that want to focus more on the one on one to kind of get themselves to where they feel comfortable being in a group setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that. I have a question that just popped in my head. As far as being consistent, how do you like what do you recommend for people to work out and be consistent? Because I feel like we'll do like these 30-day for example, me and my friends are doing like a 30-day workout every day type of thing. Which I mean, I can't do every day, but it's fine. Like 5, 6 days a week, it's fine.
The
But
Lord knows your heart.
exactly. But like I always think I'm like, after it's over. Like I didn't I started working out. I started my like consistency before then, but
Hmm.
I always think like, okay, for someone that maybe just started this in this group, like how do they get encouraged to create a habit out of it? Because I
Hmm.
feel like when we are a part of these like short limited times of like whatever a diet or but specifically we're talking about like a fitness workout, how do we stay consistent past our mark when we've reached our like 30 days or 60 days?
For sure. So my college coach told me something that always stuck with me, and she said it takes 2 weeks to build a habit and just 3 days to break a habit. So
Mm.
when you're thinking about it, like look at your fitness routine as any other habit you have, whether it's trying to drink water every day, whether it's knitting something, or just playing basketball, whatever your habit or whatever something that you enjoy doing. When you do something for 2 weeks, it becomes a part of your routine. So when you don't do it, it's like, oh, I didn't do that today. Or you realize it. So think about that in the sense of like a weekend is only 3 days. So if you work out every day, let's say for 2 weeks straight, Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday, and then that third week, you don't work out that Monday and Tuesday, and you have that long weekend off, it's like starting over all over again. And so I
Mm,
always think about like, just think about that, how hard it was that first day of starting, right? Because we never want to relive that first day. We want that
yeah.
first day to pass. And so for me, more so, it's about just finding a routine that works for you and just doing something to be active. So it doesn't mean that you're working out every day. It doesn't mean that you're getting a crazy hit workout in. Being active is just moving your body. So going for a walk,
Yeah.
going for a hike, stretching while you're watching TV, maybe like, yoga on a Sunday afternoon. It's just doing something to be intentional with your body. And so I think for, if you're doing something like that 30-day challenge, after that, of course, you don't, and I'm not a huge fan of working out every day. I don't work out every day. And I believe your body needs rest days. Anyone that works out every day, like I said, everyone's bodies are different, but I don't
Yeah.
think that is necessary. I think your body needs days to recover.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that 30-day challenge, after we've done that, kind of like finding, okay, taking those maybe like 2, 3 days of just solid nothing, stretching and just enjoying, just letting your body heal. And then when you go back into it, just finding ways to throw in things that you enjoy. And it's really beneficial to switch up your workout. So, if you're working out 3 days a week, maybe one day you're biking, or you're going to a cycle studio. And then the next day you're doing like a crazy hit workout. And then the third day you're doing, a crazy heavy strength day. But as long as you're moving your body, and then those outside days, those extra 4 days, you throw in a walk, throw in a hike, throw in, some stretching or some yoga, some active recovery, and you have it right there. Because working
Okay.
out, I think people have in their mind, I have to work out 5 to 6 days a week to be successful. And it's like, that alone is like, it's intimidating, because it's like, that's a lot. Even for me, I'm like, that's a lot of days. But it's about finding, what works for you and finding that routine. Because yes, 5 to 6 days a week, it can be good to work out, but also can be too much on your body too soon. And like I said, we're in this for the long term, right? We want longevity.
Right.
So
Right.
we're not rushing to hit that 5 to 6 days a week. We want to start with 2 days a week. Like a lot of my clients that come in, they have these like, these goals, and it's like, okay, they're like, I'm gonna do 7 days a week. And I'm like, absolutely not. Now I could be the typical trainer and be like, oh, 7 days a week, that's a lot of money. Yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, that's not my goal. My goal is not to get rich over this. My goal is, like I said before, to teach you. I want you to understand and learn your body. And as your body gets stronger and stronger, and we can handle more days, then we throw in a third day. And then maybe a
Yeah.
fourth day. But then after that fourth day, I want you to do the rest on your own. Like, I want you to be able to take accountability and go for your walk, go for your run, do a hike, do something that can
Mhm.
keep you moving.
You said several things. You said this in the last question that I asked you. You said about like you want your client to be able to not need you anymore, which to be honest, when I think about trainers, I don't think that I never thought that that was like a goal of theirs because to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I would think like, wouldn't you want me to stay the money? Like, wouldn't you want me to stay?
Mhm.
Um, but I like that you said that. Are you saying it because like you want them to be able to walk into a gym and know what to do type of thing?
For sure. So
Okay.
a mixture of both, right? So that's the first part of it. I want my clients, when they leave me, even when they're still with me on their, whether it's their off days or days that they're not training with me, I want them to feel so confident, so comfortable in themselves, in their body, and their fitness journey, that they can walk into any gym and understand how to do, what we do, understand how to put together a workout, understand like, why they're doing certain things, understand what that exercise is doing to that body part. Just because, like I said, I'm really big on the knowledge of it. So I want them to understand that part. But then also the second part too is like, a lot of times trainers are a crutch where like, we can cripple someone by kind of like wanting it for them. So it's like, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of times when people have trainers, it's almost like you crutch onto that part. It's like, okay, I want to let them, like, I'm just going to show up and then they're going to do everything else. But the more you kind of like invest into your fitness, because I'm only with you an hour at a time, at max, 4 days a week. So you're without me more than you are with me, right? So my goal
Mm.
is for you to be able to do everything else that requires you to do in those 23 extra hours, that 1 hour becomes the point where it's like, all right, this is just like the sprinkle on top, but
Right.
I'm doing all the extra work on my own.
Right. But don't people have trainers for like just like all the time? Like it- I don't
Yeah,
know.
I,
I
I see
thought
I see that I see that a lot. So it really just, it depends. There's a lot of people that have like, longer term trainers where they've been with them for years on years.
right.
And at that point, a lot of times, so like for example, like what I was saying with my goal is I want my clients to be to a point where even if we're still training, it's because I'm able to like elevate and like, change a different type of training style for them, where we're making things harder and harder and they're getting crazier and crazier. But I don't want you to need me to the sense of where if we're not training, or if let's say if I happen to, to leave to go to a month somewhere, another country, another
Right.
time, then they can still keep up with it and know what they're doing, right? So
It's a
my
good
goal is to
point.
make it so that way my clients don't need me, they want me. if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in the beginning, of course, it's that that double-edged sword of it's a mixture of both, right? But as you just in anything as you're doing, as you learn, as you grow in it, you understand more and more and more of it. And then it's almost like when you're in school and you get to the point you can like correct a teacher, or you can like ask better questions because you've learned more. So I
Hmm.
want to be able to keep educating my clients at a point where they're learning so much more. I actually have a few that have they're at a point now where they're like, I think I might go take my test and like get my certification, and that's my goal. Like
I
there's room at
love
this table
that.
for everybody. Like I would love to bring everybody in because it's just by helping yourself, you're helping so many other people. And like we
Yeah.
said earlier, in our community, we don't know that lifestyle. We don't know that mindset of making sure that our bodies are good.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I like what you said about like switching up the exercises because years ago I would think that I always should probably, if I want to focus on, let's say losing weight in my stomach, which is always been my problem area, then I would always want to do sit-ups, always do crunches, But then, as I started going to workout classes, the trainers would switch it up all the time.
Mhm.
And so, but can you tell us like why that's beneficial and why it's important to not just do the same workout all the
For
time?
sure. Well, for one, for the most simplest one is it can get boring, right? If you're doing the
Yes.
same thing over and over again, you can get bored. And when you're bored doing something, what do? You stop.
You stop.
You don't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
like that's the most simple version of my mind is we want to keep this industry interesting because the more interesting it is, the more appealing it is, and the more people want to do it. And then it becomes to a point where you're doing it for yourself. So of course, as things change, it's always like, oh, this is a new move. Oh, I like that. And it's funny because whenever I introduce the new moves to my clients, you always see like the joy in their face of like, oh, we're trying something new. Okay, this is great. And it's like
Mhm.
it like it makes you feel good because it's a level up. It's like, okay, like you think I'm ready for this next step? Let's do it. So
Right.
it's a mixture of that, but then also to your body, right? So what'll happen if you're doing the same thing over and over again? Not to say that, certain moves aren't gonna work if you keep doing it over and over again. Not to say that at all. But it's good to switch up things because your body will get used to certain things. So for example, if I'm doing the same routine over and over and over and over again, my body gets used to it. And you get to the point where you kind of max out from that. You can go your
Mhm.
heaviest weight to it. You can go the longest reps or the longest time, and your body will get used to it. And once you get used to something, you stop growing. So think about even with just like mindset wise, right? You only grow when you challenge yourself. So once you stop challenging your body's just going to be stuck here, and it's
That's
not going to
true.
go. So I can do the same 10 moves every day, and as the weeks go on, as the months go on, I'll get stronger in those 10 moves. I'll get faster in those 10 moves. But
Yeah.
once I reach my max, now what? So we
Yeah.
want to make sure we switch it up and we keep it interesting so that way your body is always kind of like, for lack of better words, on its toes. Like, okay, what's coming up next? What are we doing next?
I like that. Yeah, it is challenging yourself. It is pushing yourself to go another level. So I like that. You know what? I thought of you in my workout this morning because the because the instructor was they're starting the pull up whole thing. Like they love doing like the pull up challenge. Not like a more a challenge, but like they really want us to like get better at pull ups. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I first started going to this class, I was like, pull ups? Man, back in elementary, the presidential fitness test, I was a beast at pull ups. What you mean? I got this. And then I started doing it with my hands like this. And then the instructor was like,
Oh
Ebony.
no.
And
Yep.
I said, what is this? I said, I can't even get up. I can't
Uh-huh.
do one. I could not do one pull up just with my hands like this. And I was like,
It's a difference, but this will do.
what a difference. And yeah, now I'm like, I'm happy when I can get like two, just like a full without stopping. Cause
Yes.
I'm starting, all that. But like, can you just talk to us about like the benefits of making sure like why it's important to have our hands in the correct position with a pull up? I just feel like this is knowledge that like some people might not know, or maybe it's just me. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
For sure. So for one, they're two different, right? So if you have your palms in, that's a chin up. So you ever see people that do like the really quick ones, it's a chin up. You get chin over the bar, and that's it. So when
Yeah.
you flip your hands, you have more control, and it's an official pull up. And I used to say to my clients, if you think about it, if all of like the workouts and like fitness moves that there are, a pull up is like, in my opinion, the most important one because you know random scenario, if you ever come into like a life or death situation, you're never going to have to like squat your way out of something, but you may have to pull yourself up out of something. So pull up is like the most beneficial exercise to be able to lift your body weight because whether even if it's just holding, it's like a lot of my older clients, I'll have them just holding on and we'll just work on like holding because it could be a life or death situation. You never know. You're never gonna have to like, do a squat to get out of something or do a clean and press to get out of something or like do a lunge to get out of something. But a pull up could potentially like, save your life. So I always talk about the benefit of that. And if you think about it, in a pull up, you're
Yeah.
never in a life situation, you're never gonna be holding on like this. You're always holding on like this.
Yeah. You know what? You just like inspired, but also creeped me out at the same time because, like, in a good way. Because I was thinking, oh shit, if something does go down, I need to hang on to something. I need that extra body strength.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, I like
Now,
that.
granted, your adrenaline kicks in and your body can do
Right,
crazy
right,
things when you have adrenaline,
right,
but just the basis of being able to hold that for,
right,
it
right.
definitely is important. But with pull-ups, I always tell people, it is a journey. It will not happen over time. That is one of the hardest body weight exercises that you can do
Mm,
because it requires literally pulling your entire body weight up. It doesn't matter what size you are, it doesn't matter how much you weigh. It is challenging for everyone. And so I just say give yourself grace time. But it only
mm.
works if you work on it, right? You're not going to get stronger in it just by doing it once in a blue moon.
Yeah,
You get stronger at pull-ups by doing pull-ups. You can do all the back and arm exercises in the world, and it will help because of course the stronger you are, it makes it a little bit easier. But there's nothing like getting stronger in a pull-up by doing a pull-up.
right, right. Yeah. No, I just randomly thought about, yeah, you when I was working, I was like, gosh, I wonder how she feels about pull-ups because I'm just like over here dying and embarrassed. Like I can't even get my body up. But I'm gonna work on it. It's
You
gonna
got
be
it.
dope, you know?
I just posted the other day about like my pull up journey because I like pull ups have always been like the hardest thing. Even at my strongest, like
Mm,
I would struggle with pull ups. Like I can maybe get like two max, and I'm very like I have the mindset. I'm very strict on like a dead hang. So that means like when you pull up, your arms lock all the way out and then come back up. And so I used to like cheat myself and like I would try to do like fast to see how many I could do. But then I was like, let me try to like actually do what they call like the military pull-ups or like a lockout, a dead hang. And I could never do it. So I would always just like avoid it and be like, all right, well, I'm not gonna let that like whatever. I'm just gonna do something else. And then
yeah.
I got to a point where I was just like I started working on them and working on them. And then the other day I tried and I went for some and I was like, I surprised myself. I was like, this is great. So like all I have to say, like even people that are in that do this full time, it's
Yeah.
challenging for us too. So like don't let it be discouraging when you can't get one because it takes a while to get one.
Yeah.
And then when you get one, it's like, okay, I got one. Now let's go for two. Now let's go for three. But like, it's a journey, but it's so worth it because every time you hit that next number, you feel like you just ran a marathon.
Yeah, yeah, and you feel proud of yourself, and it gives you confidence, and
For sure.
which I feel like leads into my next question. I want to talk about. I love talking about mental health, and I want to talk about like the benefits of mental health and fitness because I do feel like there are benefits. Like after the gym, I feel like I'm Beyonce's backup dancer. Like I really feel
Right?
like I really feel like I could run the world, and
No, literally.
And so I'm like, it makes me feel so much better. But I want to know like your experience with mental health and fitness and okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I swear there was like one point where I feel like I don't know if I saw you post about like your mental health journey. I'm not gonna lie. I went back on Instagram to try to find and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna ask her. But was there a moment where like you were like off social media for a minute and then like you were like,
Mhm.
okay, guys, I'm back. I'm back to like doing training. If you feel comfortable talking about that, I was
No,
just
for
intrigued.
sure. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I am very comfortable in it because I feel like mental health it's talked about a lot more now, but it's not something that people boast and brag about, right? People always try to just show the perfect picture of it. And so I'm comfortable talking about it because it's a real life thing. It happens, depression happens, it sucks, but it's like, when you come out of it, I think you talking about it can help somebody else that's going through it. And so I went through a few really, really dark and crazy months. And in that time, it's tough because working out as much as it's almost like when you know things like you're like I know this will help, but then you're like I just don't want to do it. And so I was in that phase for a long time where like I know working out has become my drug to a sense where like I've gone through certain periods where if something was happening, you go through the period where you just want to have a glass of wine or have a cup of have a drink of something or you want to smoke a little something. And I went through a period of that where like afterwards never really made you feel better. And then I got to a point in my fitness journey where I would use kind of fitness as like my release. So if something happened, instead of grabbing, a drink or something to smoke, I would go and work out and I would get a better release from that. So I went through those periods in the past where I knew fitness was like, wow, this is, such an important thing for me to cling on to, because when you have those moments when you want to make those decisions that may not be the best for that moment, when you go and work out, you get a rush after working out. It's like, if you ever talk to people that work out in the morning and it's like they have energy for their whole day, or they work out at night and they're like, they're up for a few hours, because you really do get a rush after working out. And so it got to a point where I understood that fitness was that for me. However, sometimes you do get to a point where things get dark and things get lonely and things happen and life starts to life so hard that the things that still don't make sense. And so for a few months I didn't work out. I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to sleep, or all I wanted to do was eat, all I wanted to do was sleep. But I kind of like forgot about fitness. And it was like, how sometimes when you're sad, you want to listen to sad songs? It was almost like
Yes.
that. Like, I knew
Yeah.
fitness would help, but I also didn't want help at the moment. So I didn't even
Mhm.
want to like do it. And it just got to a point to where I was tired of it myself. Like I was tired of going through it myself, and I was like, no one's gonna pull me out of this but me. And I just took it one day at a time. And like it may have just been like a 5 minute workout, or just a something like rolling over and doing sit ups on my floor, or like doing like a push up out of bed and just being like, all right, I see a little muscle coming back, and I feel a little something.
Mhm.
But along of a mixture of things, just one addressing, what the root of my depression was, what the root of my distance was, being able to address that and, write that down. I've never been big on journaling. I was never the, Brandy, hey diary, this is what happened to, like, that was never me. Like I never had to desire to write my thoughts down.
Yeah.
But I got to it because when I was at a point in my depression where I was ready to talk to somebody, I looked for therapy and I sought for it, and I tried it. I ended up trying two therapists that were both just terrible, and it gave me like a bad experience. And so, my process of trying to find a therapist, I was like, I don't want this to knock me back down. Like, I'm ready to do something about it. I don't want to knock me down. What can I do to, like, at least alleviate some of this pressure that's like in my head? And I started to write. And so writing really helped me. And then once I felt lighter, I felt more of myself. When I felt more of myself, I found my way back to working out, back to the gym. And then that helped to like slingshot me out of it. So it was like the gym was like, hey girl, we never left. We were just waiting for you to be ready for us. But when you're ready, we're right here. And it really
Yeah.
is true, because once I got to a point of, I feel more of myself, then I had that moment of like, I miss working out. I miss my body, like, feeling like I'm the strongest thing ever. And then it also, it's a double whammy, like, because then you start to feel stronger physically, and when you feel stronger physically, you feel stronger mentally. It kind of
Yeah.
just like it goes hand in hand. And so yeah, it was a really really long process. But I took my time with it. I didn't do it on anyone's timing. I didn't let any outside factors get into my timeline of my healing, my journey. And I'm still healing. I'm still figuring it out.
Girl,
I
we
still
all are.
have
Yes, yes.
I still have my days where I'm like, "Dang, is this 6 months? Like, this is 6 months ago. Like, what's happening?"
Mhm.
But I give myself time. I give myself
Good.
time. There's even some days where it's like in the gym, I don't got it today. I don't even have it today. And I listen to my body because it's important. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's important to push through, but sometimes it's important to just listen and just let your body just be. And so I think it's really important to find that balance, that rhythm with yourself, that you can allow yourself to have those moments, but then still keep yourself on a short enough leash where you can like, all right, let's reel it back in now. Let's don't get too far.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah, of
appreciate it.
course.
And the reason why I feel like mental health is important to talk about, and it like pertains to a lot of aspects in our life that more than we think it does. Because I feel like mental health, they immediately think it's just therapy. But like I
Mhm.
love that you talked about like slowly getting out of it. Journaling is what helped you. And then you
Mhm.
eventually were able to go to the gym. It's like
Yeah.
there are so many things in life besides therapy that can help us get to the
Mhm.
point. I am an advocate for therapy, but I do believe that not everything is for everybody. So there's so many things
Yeah,
that you can do to get to a better mental state. Because a
for
lot of us
sure.
go through depression, a lot of us, and then there are a lot of us that do actually have a diagnosis and have to take medication for that. So that's why I think this
Yeah.
conversation we're having right now is like it's good for people who are like, okay, when I do have those moments of depression that I know eventually will hit me in the future,
Mhm.
these are the small steps I can take to
For
continue
sure.
on my fitness journey.
For
So
sure. And
I
don't
think
get me
it's
wrong,
important.
I am a huge advocate for therapy and I am still on a journey to find a therapist. But
Yeah, yeah.
finding a therapist is almost worse than dating in LA. It's
Uh,
terrible. It's so hard.
wow,
It's so
wow.
hard. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, just as you wouldn't settle for a boyfriend, a husband, or whatever, like don't settle for a therapist.
Yep.
And so I'm still in that journey. So if you know anyone, let me know.
I
I'm
was about to
still
say, I
looking.
literally, yes, my old therapist, 100%. I actually recommend her to a lot of black women. So you know what?
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just, and if you're comfortable, the one that I have, is amazing.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if she's taking clients. You know what? I'm just gonna give you both of their emails, and then let's
Perfect.
see. Hopefully they're still taking clients. But I personally love going to black women just because,
Oh, same. And
you
so
know,
that's why it took me forever to find one because I mean, at this point now, it's like finding a therapist is like setting up a dating profile. You're like,
yeah,
black, white, woman, man, this, that, this, that. Like, you can literally tick off the boxes that you want to talk about, like what they're
yeah.
specialized in. And so for me, I think the system was having a hard time generating what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point where I could have easily, I'm sure found a white man that I could have talked to that maybe would have been decent, but I've never done therapy successfully. Is that the word? So in my head, I had a vision of like what it looked like, and I don't picture myself opening up to a white man or to a white woman. I just, if anything, like I can justify a woman, but I want a black woman therapist. And
Yeah.
I think of like letting myself be because therapy is hard. So letting myself be my rawest self, like let you see every piece of me. I need a black woman,
Right.
and if not a
Right.
black woman, then like at least a woman of color. Like,
Right, exactly. That also made me realize I'll send you the link therapyforblackgirls.org, or is it .com? I'll figure
I've
out
heard
because
of that.
yeah, it's that's where I
I've
found
heard of
my
that.
very first black female therapist. Especially helped during the pandemic because nobody was
Mm-hmm.
meeting in person, and they just like give you like a bunch of options that are black women just throughout California. So
Yes.
yeah, I'll send that all to you. You know what? I'm gonna include it in the link too, at least that link. But
Yes.
the two personal people, I'll just send to you. Um,
Perfect.
but no, for me, I got diagnosed with endometriosis. I don't know if you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. And
Mm,
so, this inflammatory disease is basically what it is. And when a woman, because only women can have it, because it has to do with it comes from basically being on your period.
mm-hmm.
And when the women that have endometriosis, the blood that doesn't come out is stuck inside of you and creates a mass on your uterus and other parts of your body. And for me, it created a mass on my uterus and my bladder. So that was
Mm.
one
Oh
day
my goodness.
I'll tell that story on another podcast episode. But basically this pertains to fitness because my doctors were telling me after I got the surgery last year, my endometriosis doctor and my acupuncturist both were like, in order to sustain like your mental health and to make sure that you don't have like extreme bloating is to make sure that you work out like constantly. Like not overdo it, but like working out and eating healthy is the two main things that helps women with endometriosis that are constantly bloated because that's what it
Mhm.
does. I'll wake up and I'll look like I'm like 5 months pregnant and I'm like, what the hell? But it's weird. I'll go to the gym and then like it just like decreases so much. So
Mm.
like for me, that's what like fitness has it's helped me like with this chronic disease that I have. It's just,
Wow.
like I felt it, and it honestly made me realize like I used to think of fitness as just losing weight, but like
Mhm.
it really helped my mental health because it helped my confidence in myself.
Mhm.
Because no one wants to wake up and like be bloated, and you're not the size, you're not that size, but your body is going through something. So yeah, I just,
I think no, I think that's beautiful, and it speaks to how like fitness can do so many different things in so many areas of your life, and it's not just. And that's why I said in the beginning, I want to especially for my women, get that mindset away of like we work out to look this way, we work out to look that way, and to get it
mhm,
more into a feel like no, I work out to feel strong, I
to
work out for my
feel
mental health,
good.
I work out for so many other reasons. And but just so going back to what you said about with the bloating and with periods, funny enough, so when I was running track when I was younger, I've always had male coaches. Like every coach I've ever had was a male. And so, when you get your period, especially as a kid, it's the end of the world. You can't do anything. You just want to be in the ball. You want to call it school. And whenever I had male coaches and it'd be like, hey, coach, I'm on my period. I can't do anything. it was almost like they didn't want to address it. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, just go over there, sit down, like don't worry about your excuse from practice today. Until I had my first female coach in college. And I never forget my first time going to track practice. And I told her, like, hey, coach, I have my period. Like, I'm not feeling too well. She said, okay, get on the line. We still got practice. I was like, excuse me? I was like, how dare you? Like, what do you mean? Like, my body is like literally trying to create form right now. Like, what are you talking about? But it took having a female coach that knew moving was the medicine. And once I started working out on my period, it changed the game. Don't get me wrong. We all have those days, maybe that first day, that
Right.
last day, the day
Right.
before where it's like, you can't do anything. But for the basis of, the majority of your period, when you move, you feel so much better. And
Yep.
once I realized that, it changed the game for me. Completely changed the game. So
That's
all that to
yeah.
say, when you're in your period, when you have those cramps, when you're moving, it's like the movement helps. It's almost like when you're in that fetal position, heating pad across the stomach, you're catering to that pain. So we're just going to embrace everything that you're doing. But when you're moving, you're like, I'm not going to let you in. So it just starts to fade away.
Right, right. I love that. Yes, you're talking about that because that is so true. We as women have always grown up with like, maybe I just should just like lay here for 7 days.
Right?
But no, yes, it wasn't until for me as well. I got older and then like another woman who was older than me had to tell me, actually, if you just continue to work out, like it'll
Mm-hmm.
subside. And it's like, because a lot of it sometimes it's in here too, because we think we have to just be, you know,
Yeah,
sitting and we
for
don't.
sure.
Yeah, and it also goes back to we were talking about being sore from a previous
Mm-hmm.
workout. You have to work through that soreness. You got to work through the cramps. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I just wanted to ask you like what is the biggest lesson you learned so far from being a personal trainer? You're essentially owning your own company. You are your brand. Yeah,
I am,
right? So,
yes.
what is the biggest lesson that you've learned from being a beautiful, successful Black woman who is a CEO?
I would say on the training wise, I would say just learning that everybody is different. I think when you get into training, you're so used to reading this textbook of like the rights, the wrongs. This is the step 1 through Z, right? And I think it doesn't come until you actually get in the field and actually get your hands dirty, realizing that there are so many different body types, different movement patterns, different things, that different lifestyles that go into a person and their results and their feelings and their moods. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned, which is being just understanding and just being patient, honestly, because I
Mhm.
think a lot of times people want to see those quick results. They can advertise those quick results. They can get that return back in. And that is not my mindset. I am with you for the bigger picture. And so I think my biggest lesson there is just being, just understanding and just having the patience to understand and learn all of my clients' needs, their bodies, and just what works for them and what doesn't. If something isn't working, let's go back to the drawing board. There's no pride in my game. There's nothing of like, well, you didn't do this right. So this, like, it must be on your fault. If something
Mhm.
isn't working, let's switch it up. Let's change it. Let's just figure out what we can do to make this work for you. Because at the end of the day, the goal is for you. So I would say that for the training wise. And then for the business wise, I would go back to the beginning when you said, you mentioned I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, oh yeah, I am. That's crazy. Because I never had that, like I never had the mentality of I want to be my own boss. I want to work for myself. I want to own my own brand. But through doing what I love, slowly but surely, I got to a point where I didn't realize it until I was in it, and I was like, wow, I'm doing this. Like this is something I'm doing. With that, I would say the biggest lesson is not being afraid to ask for help. I have a team of beautiful people that support me and that help me in more ways than they can imagine. And I think the biggest lesson behind that is, we don't have to think we can do everything ourselves. We are only one person. And so I
Mhm.
lean on my crew for a lot. Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you help me with this? Can you proofread this? Can you see if that's good to do that? Do you have somebody that can help me do this? Because I'm an avid believer in like, if something isn't your strong suit, seek help. Training, that's what I do. I can, I love that aspect of it. Everything else, the accounting part, the number part, the this part, the legal part, that's not my field. I don't understand it. I don't know what any of it means. And so I will always never be afraid to ask for help and say, like, hey, what does this mean? Do you have something that come with this? Do you understand what that means? Can you look into this for me? Because I'd rather somebody that knows what they're doing and has my best interest at heart in it than me trying to understand and trying to do it. And then I skip steps or I miss something and I'm not understanding it. So I would say those are my two biggest lessons from the training aspect and then from the actual business aspect is just not being afraid to ask for help.
I think that's very important. I always say the best leaders know how to delegate tasks
Hmm.
because they see where someone's strengths are and then they trust them that they can do that. Because,
For sure.
there's a lot of CEOs who are perfectionists and like to do things themselves. But
Hmm.
the reality is you get too stressed and then sometimes it's not the best quality because you didn't ask someone who could actually help you make it better. So
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
like that answer. I like that answer. My last question for you. I have this segment called the "I fuck with you" segment, and this segment this segment is just more of like giving a nice shout out to people who have helped us on our come up journey, and other people in your field that are also people of color who you would like to shout out who are also trainers. So like people that have helped you come up, and then people who are also trainers that you would like to give a shout out that you think other people should know about.
I have so many people in my corner that like it doesn't make sense. I think when I think of like just genuine friendships and just like true people, I am pretty blessed. Like I have to
Hmm.
say, I am pretty blessed, and I can go down a rabbit hole and just like literally naming every single person. But
Right,
there are
right.
so many people that have been in my corner that literally have, whether it's coming to a workout or posting and sharing a workout, posting and sharing my page, that have literally like just changed the game for me night and day, and just showing that support is more than anything. I care more about the support that I do, the likes and the follows and the stuff that social media portrays as like the top thing.
And it is LA, so you never know. It's kind of hard to find your community, but that's dope. Even doper that you have community all over the world. So good for
Yes, I
you.
love it, love it, love it, love it.
Well, I loved our conversation, and I feel like people will learn a lot from this conversation. I just appreciate you so much. And so tell us, where can people hit you up if they want a personal training session, your women's session, all of that, and go to the weekend workouts on Saturdays in Inglewood.
For sure. So I post and advertise everything on my Instagram. It's at __ NITFIT. So it's Nit Fit. You can reach out, send me a DM or a message from there. And you can also just email me straight from that page as well too. But I do everything straight through there. I like to keep it one tunnel so it's not too confusing.
Yep.
But any questions about that, I'll start my workouts back up for the park in November. And then we're currently right now doing our ladies training for October. I want to start up taking a new client for November coming up soon. So keep an eye on that.
I love that. And don't you have your Neat Fit t-shirt? You got a brand, you
I
make
do.
clothes?
So I know my camera's like all low. So
Yeah.
I'm working on some things. We got some stuff
Okay.
in the works, but hopefully coming soon. It's been a long journey, but we
I
I can
love
see the
it.
light.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna buy some stuff. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Nita. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was so awesome. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm gonna be on a high all day now.
Oh, yes. Listen, Sam, like I said, I was just hopeful that you would say yes. You were on my list of like, I don't know. She's really cool, so I'm not sure if she's gonna say yes. So thank you. I really appreciate you.